right, and we're here with the show. We're going to be having a blast on this one tonight, I can tell you right now. Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know thank you for watching the shows and thank you for paying attention to what's going on and paying attention to the voice of the indies that we're trying to put out there. We're not slowing it down anytime soon, and tonight's show is going to be a very good example of that. Before we get started, go ahead and get those shares ready, get those out there. I know this is pre-recorded. You're going to be watching this after the fact, but you definitely want to get on the bandwagon and go ahead and get this out there and get more eyes involved, because we're about to go ahead and talk to somebody that I've been looking forward to talking to for a little while, actually, because whenever you talk about hell of a show and the energy that's on this show and what happens on here, the IP that this guy has to be on this show. It had to happen. So without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest up here. Here is Dolan Waddick, and this is about Born of Blood.
Good evening.
What's up, Dolan?
Hey. Yeah, it's an interesting evening, getting ready for some snowfall. But yeah, gotta love winter here in the Midwest.
Well, I mean, considering the fact that just a few days ago it was almost 80 degrees here in Tennessee, and then all of a sudden we've got sub-freezing and snow again. Yeah, it's fun.
Jeez. No, yeah, I don't remember it ever really being like this when I was a kid. It's just not till recently where I noticed these drastic weather changes.
Exactly. I mean, it's more bipolar than my first ex-wife.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud? No, that wasn't out loud. You know what? Before we have too much fun and get into all the shenanigans for tonight, let me go ahead and give the floor to you for just a moment and let people know who you are, what you do, where to find you.
Yeah, so I'm Dolan Waddick. You can find me at Facebook, Dolan Waddick, or on Instagram. I believe it's Dolan_Waddick. I post every single day, new pages, campaign stuff for Born of Blood. I'm the writer for Born of Blood at Merck Publishing, and I'm also working on a project with Murat Michaels coming up. It's Vampirella and Messiah meet Nice and Nice. This will be my I think third project with Murat, and I got maybe have a few more down the line, but we'll see what happens.
Nice. Very nice. Well, we're definitely going to be discussing that, I can tell you right now. And we're definitely going to be discussing about Born of Blood because I'm looking forward to this. I mean, what I've read so far has just got so much underneath my skin that I'm like, okay, I need more. I mean, I need my fix. I mean, it's got to happen. I need more. It's very exciting. It's very intense. I'm going to throw out right now before anyone gets excited and goes, I'm going to get that for my kid. It just sounds really cool. No, it's not it's not a kid's book. Throwing it out there. It is mature readers for this one. Mainly for the factor of how much violence and blood is in there. I mean, blood is in the name. So what are you going to do? But like I said, we're going to be discussing that in much more detail as we go along. But first and foremost, I'm going to kind of get into, I always like to get my guests on here and verify that they're actually human beings and not AI, just here to take over the world in robot form or anything. It's kind of creeping me out that you're just showing just the audio picture on there. I'm not able to see your eyes, because if your eyes were turning red right now, I'd have to let you go. We do not play well with Skynet. I'm just throwing it out there right now.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to go under the assumption that there are no red eyes, and we're going to continue on. I've got my finger on the ejecto button just in case.
Yeah, fine. Here we go. I'll just give you a little. There we go. There I am.
There we go. We have verification. That works. All right. So the great thing is now that we know that you're human, we can move on forward with this, and we're not going to send hunters over there to go ahead and take out an AI form. So you're okay for right now. But we want to kind of know what got you involved into the comics in the first place. I mean, what was your draw? Does it go back all the way to whenever you were a kid and you picked up comic for the first time? Does it go to whenever, a friend of yours maybe said that they had a great looking book and you took a look at it? What was your origin story on this?
So my love for comics goes all the way back to kindergarten. I've been reading comic books since I was in kindergarten, and I was very fortunate to have a uncle who worked in a magazine distribution plant back in the early 90s, late 80s, but before the current Diamond Lunar distribution model, when comics would go through, like, local distributors would go out. So every few weeks, he would drop off a box at our house of the comics. They were damaged. They were damaged comics that they would get in. But he would give us the damages, and they would be just reader comics. I mean, I was a young kid. Wasn't going to collect them. I was reading them. And I was blown away every single week, every other week. And this is late 80s, early 90s. So I'm reading all the early Image stuff, Nightfall, Zero Hour, Kingdom Come, even the late X-Men stuff when all the great artists and writers were there before they left for Image. Early Image stuff, like, I was getting blown away by all the art and the crazy stories, and like that blew away my imagination. And that's when my love really started.
That is awesome. I mean, I've had a lot of guests on here that have talked about, it all started whenever they were a kid and all. That is the first time that I've heard where they actually had the connection right there to have it dropped off to you on a regular basis. I mean, you had unlimited usage of, going through these. And like you said, they were readers at the time. So, I mean, it was perfect to go in there and just, grab all that knowledge that you wanted to and branch off of there.
Yeah, and the other I also remember when back in November '93 or '92, I think '92 or '93, I forget which one. The when Superman died originally, my uncle who ran the plant, the day before he came to our house for I think it was a Thanksgiving party. He dropped off the comics in a Manila envelope. He's like, "Hey, here you go, guys. Don't tell anyone you got these." And yeah, we're like, What? Superman died? No.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments where it's like, okay, there was no fake media and all that kind of stuff at the time, with that time period. I mean, the internet was not even a thing at that point either.
No.
So whenever it happened, this is one of those word of mouth things that kind of just went to, phone call to phone call, and people were getting those, and you started going, nah, this isn't real. This isn't real. And then all of a sudden, news stations.
Yes, that was that was back in the day. If you made the local news or CNN or whatever, that was oh crap, this is real.
Yeah, I mean, for them to actually take a news segment and go, yeah, we're at war with this country, that country, whatever thing. Oh no, that's not important right now. What's important is Superman just died, everybody. It was one of those surreal moments where you're like, so are we not doing comics anymore? Did we just go ahead and pull the plug on the whole thing? Obviously, it didn't go that direction. Thank goodness.
No, it didn't. It was great. Because I'd had a long love for those comics, and still to this day, But I loved as I got older, researching the writers and artists and learning about the behind the scenes stuff. I love the behind the scenes stuff, and nothing to this day fascinates me more than learning about the Superman team back in the day when they would get together for the writers retreat, plan out the year. They had a big dry release board in Hawaii or whatever, plot out every issue. That sounded so awesome to me. And Sean, who owns Merck Publishing, he loved it too. And actually, we're having our first writers retreat coming up soon, so we're going to be doing something similar to that for Merck Publishing, and that may or may not include Born of Blood, but we'll see what happens.
Very nice. And I am chomping at the bit to get into the discussion about talking about Merck Publishing as well. And by the way, I have one confirmed that will be on a show coming up in the near future, and I'm working on some other members on getting on there as well, because we really, really want to focus on what's being done. Because if you don't know about Merck Publishing, you haven't opened up a Diamond book, or you haven't talked to anybody in LCS. You sure haven't looked online, because it's all over the place right now. So congratulations on, getting in with this group here and building what y'all all have together with this.
Yeah, it's insane, because I was talking with, it wasn't too long ago, when Born of Blood 1 was officially out in the stores, and Bleeding Cool put out an article where it was, when they were tracking their sales in their stores, Born of Blood was number 8 on the top 10 list. And it got a lot of attention. That was a week or so before New York Comic Con. And, yeah, had a lot of people coming up to me, pitching me ideas for stories. It was pretty wild. But it's only been around for a little more than a year, Merck Publishing has. And it's caught a lot of people by surprise.
Well, I mean, absolutely, because the general rule for businesses is you don't see any kind of residual feedback that actually gives you, that much momentum on there for at least 5 years. And like you just said, it's been here for a year, and y'all are already bouncing off of everyone's networks. So it's definitely going in the right direction. Whatever has been done, don't change the formula for it by any means, and keep doing what y'all are doing, because it's working.
Yeah, and what's really great about it is that it started as a small team. It was pretty much Sean Hudashko, Jamie Tyndall, Murphy, and that was it. It was just those three pretty much. And then it's expanded, included me after that. Then after we brought on Aaron Sparrow and Joe Corallo as creative directors and editors, and I'm forgetting some names right now, spur of the moment, but we have a great team right now, and things are really clicking, and we all have our big chats. We feed off criticisms and ideas off each other about certain pages and all that, what works, what doesn't. So yeah, it's a great communication we all have.
Oh, that is awesome. And it's really cool that y'all all have the ties to the indies on that, because that's the next thing that I want to kind of discuss, is because the big two are great. Don't get me wrong. And everybody knows that I don't say anything disparagingly about them, but the big two have, high rises that are dedicated to the marketing and the promoting and the building of these, massive, foundations that are out there. Whereas indies, you have to pretty much, blood, sweat, and tears has to go into everything that you do in order to get your names out there. With the indies being so sought after now. I mean, 2020, the only thing that came out of 2020 really was the fact that the indies got more of a spotlight on them, and it really started getting a push on what was available out there. It was like people were going to LCSs going, wait a minute, you don't have the other two here, but you've got a whole bunch of these indie books. What are these? What is all this back here in this back dark corner around the corner, around the pillar, on the shelf that's broken and falling apart back there? Are those indie books?
Yeah.
And now they're getting a lot more, better placement in these stores and a lot better talk and all. And you mentioned whenever we were talking about your origin story, you were very heavily talking about, Image and what was going on with a bunch of those that were on there. You mentioned about X-Men, but you specifically said, before they split and went to Image and started doing their thing. So it's a very big thing to have on there, and a very big moniker to have to work within the indies community. What has been the biggest obstacle for you personally in working on an indie IP like you have right now and building it from issue 1 to where it is now and where it's going from here?
It's still hard. It's just so we're already starting on the art for Born of Blood 6 right now, and what I've seen so far for the roughs, they look amazing, and I'm not going to say any more than that right now. But it's hard in a lot of aspects, because it's hard to get people to try something new. I'll say that. No, you can. I try to be the best salesman I can, especially at conventions, and it's worked sometimes. Hasn't worked in other times, but it's hard to get people to try something new, to get them out of their comfort zones. And the other thing is, it's hard to get people, reviewers, just to read a book. It could be not just to, I guess, review a book, but to read a book.
Right.
And it's difficult in those aspects. And like being an indie, it's difficult getting the exposure as well.
Yes.
Especially
Very
like mainstream exposure. Like I can count on like one hand how many times Merc Publishing has been mentioned, by Bleeding Cool or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not easy.
No, and there are, but there aren't opportunities. And the thing that I've noticed with the indies is that whenever there aren't opportunities that are readily available, they make their own opportunities. And Merc Publishing is definitely making its own opportunities out there. It has more of a voice now than most people have been striving for the past 5 years or more.
Yeah. And I really believe, I love Marvel, and I grew up with Marvel and DC. I love Marvel and DC, but you can really see, in my opinion, it's just a lack of creativity.
Yes.
In the big two as compared to the indies right now. And,
yes.
Or I guess, yeah, I'll say that the lack of creativity, I guess you could also say like lack of effort too. And it's just the lack of editors. I'll say that big problem is the editors in the big two. Like they're almost non-existent. And I like to say that in the indies, that's where people are really working hard, to get their stuff shown. It's like when people get to DC and Marvel, I'm going to use the voice from Bane from Dark Knight Rises. Victory has defeated you. It's just they've gotten complacent. They're not trying anymore. They've made it there and they're safe. Don't have to go anywhere.
Yep.
But me, it's like I'm not necessarily. I don't. I've told Aaron. I told Joe, Sean. Like I don't want to work for Marvel and DC. I don't want to. Mm-hmm. And I'm making it here in the indies because this is where I want to be because I get to tell the stories I want to tell.
Exactly. And on top of that, and you've already touched on it, and it's good because every single show I bring it up about it, it always has a point in there, is that it's always about the passion that is put into the indies. That's what separates it from the big two. You've already said that, it's the lack of creativity and things like that. It's in there. It's also that passion. You can actually, during Marvel and DC's heydays, you could open those things up and you're like, oh yes, another Batman. Oh yes, another Spider-Man. I'm ready to read this. Now it's almost like they're going, all right, well, we introduced the brand new Spider-Man number 1 through 30 last year. So introducing Spider-Man number 1, and we're going to start it all over again. And it's like, what are we doing here? There's no thought process into it that's going, okay, we're going to take it to a new level, change things up. It's just, we're even keeping the same name, and it doesn't even make any sense at that point. And the indies are great because y'all come out with brand new IPs, titles, characters. The character development is insane in the indies because it can go from, a school teacher and all of a sudden be like a, world assassin, by the end of book 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's really cool how much play that is involved in there and how much, that you can put into it with that. How much have you actually seen with your particular IP with Born of Blood that you've seen that much evolution from, issue number 1 to where you are now on your Kickstarter with issue number 3?
Whew. I would say that I've gotten a little more confident, and I've gotten, I was already, it's interesting because Born of Blood 1 was my very first professional comic I wrote. And it was a big learning curve. I'll say that, like, because I wanted to do it certain ways. Then Murphy and the art team were like, no, don't do it that way. Try to do it this way. And then I would have my certain quirks for writing, and Murphy would be like, no, you got to fix this. Hey, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. So it was a lot of it was a big learning curve, when writing a comic book script. And I like to say up to now issue 6 that I am so I can I'll crank out a script in a week, maybe shorter, maybe a few days, depends on like how motivated I am. And I was pretty much, I would say, like, I wasn't that open to criticism initially with issue 1, but I've gotten more open to it now. I've gotten really open to it now. Like, I really listen to a lot of people, especially Joe and Aaron and Murphy, like, letting them know, like, hey, what do you guys think? Or I open it up. Like, since I'm writing a woman now, I'm a female lead. Like, I have to. I'm opening this up to like my aunts, my mom, like female coworkers. I'm like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Is this believable? And I have to do that.
Oh, it is. I mean, and I'm doing everything in my power not to do any spoilers. So I'm doing what I can on this one. But in reading it definitely, it draws you in and you get a definite connection to someone in the story, whether it's the lead, whether it's, the villain that's in there. I mean, there's different connections that are being made in there, and it is so out of left field. Like, you think you've got it figured out, and all of a sudden you throw something different into it. And it's to the point where it's like, okay, wait a minute. I can't go on with this thing thinking I know what's going to happen from the beginning anymore. I just got to go into this blank-minded, enjoy it all the way to the end, and then reread it several times to figure out where you left me hanging on that. It's really cool how you do that and how you come up with that. Go ahead and let everybody know, since we're in this segment right now, go ahead and give them the pitch on exactly what Born of Blood is, because if I tell them what it is, I'm probably going to let something slip. I don't want to do that. If you do, at least you're the one that gets in trouble.
Yeah. So Born of Blood is the beginning of the Merc universe line. So we have Miss Meow, we have Death Rage. It all begins here with Born of Blood, with Giaris, the daughter of King Cleomenes, eventual Queen of Sparta, but she has to earn the right to not only be a Spartan and eventually earn her right to be the Queen of Sparta. And she will meet and fall in love with Leonidas, and it won't be an easy process along the way for them.
No, it is not. And in reading this, the best way that I can, attune it to something else that people would, maybe have an idea about or something. Back in the day, whenever Spartacus was on TV, this has a feel of that TV show in a comic book, and you don't lose interest. I cannot stress that enough, because even Spartacus, at sometimes I'd be like, well, here we are, another, it's season after season, and then they go to another version of it, another version, and they had 4 different, things on there, different seasons and everything. And it was like, it's kind of getting a little dreary at this point. With yours, it's like, okay, I don't see what happened with here. I don't see how you came up with this. Where's this going? And then you see the next book and you're like, okay, this is really starting to get my interest. It's just building. It constantly just gives you that high point and then takes you to the next level right before you get to the end of the cliff, and then it won't let you freaking fall off.
Yeah, that's one thing, because I learned from like reading interviews with Alan Moore that he said you don't only have to just read comic books. You have to read the bad comic books too.
Yes.
You have to know what they're doing, what isn't working, and learn from that, not do those things. And I like to think I am doing that right now. I'm reading a lot of comic books and I'm seeing what doesn't work, what does work, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. And I would like to think more often than not, I am doing the right thing in my books when it comes to pacing, telling a story. Like, I like to think my comics are very fast paced and just very adrenalized, that you will not be bored reading these.
Exactly. And case in point, I'm gonna let everyone know. I mean, we have the link, for the Kickstarter and everything. In fact, I can go ahead and bring that up now since we're actually talking about this one. It isn't going to be embedded into the feed, so it's very easy to get to and everything. But this campaign, as of the recording of this right now, 690 backers. You are 10 backers away from 700 backers on this thing. I mean, it's an insane amount of backers that's on here. Is this becoming like your biggest project that you've had to date, or is this, matching up with some of the others in the past, or how is this working out for you?
So right now it's I would say it's yes and no right now. So issue one of Born of Blood, when it was originally on Kickstarter, that was a full month-long campaign, and that ended at $98,000. And issue 2 was only a 2-week campaign. That ended at around, I think, 53,000. But this has blown every metric out of the water. This wasn't even a full 2 weeks. This was a 12-day campaign. This started on Friday. It is now Tuesday. This started last Friday, and the speed of how much we've gained $67,000 and 690 backers in this small amount of time. Every one of us here at Merc we're blown away. We're like, what happened this weekend?
Yes.
And so, I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility. I mean, Sean Murphy and I were thinking this could possibly hit 100 this time, maybe, but we'll see what happens. But this was a 12-day campaign, not even a month, 12 days. So bear that in mind. Most campaigns on Kickstarter are a month. 12 days. That is no joke.
Now, is there a reason that you decided to go with the 12-day as opposed to the general 30-day on this one?
That's Sean and Murphy and Jamie's call. A lot of the campaigns, unless it's an initial issue 1 or an issue 0, they're going to be like mainly 2-week campaigns. Mm-hmm. So just because they want to keep things rolling, campaign ends. All right, that money, then we produce the product, then boom, next product, next one. Just we have everything in place here. We have our printer here, fulfillment center here. Everything is relatively local. So relatively local, but
nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty well operated machine at this point.
It definitely seems that way, because I have yet to see anything derogatory that shows that, somebody is upset because it's taken too long to get a product, or they didn't get the product at all, or bad customer service. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's like it's incredibly fast turnaround. Y'all are really cool if there is an issue, because the postal service is the postal service. We're just going to leave that one alone. And things do happen, but I've even seen a couple of things where things have been replaced and very quickly without any questions asked. It's like, okay, whatever it happens, you're good. And it's not like you're treating anybody like putting them under a spotlight and where were you on the night of such and such, and how do you know that you actually got the book?
Yeah, no, it's like we have the best. I like to think we have some of the best customer service with Murphy and everyone else over at Merc who's answering the questions or concerns or problems, and we take care of it. They're on the spot. So we always have plenty of damage replacements if books are damaged, because we got to have that buffer in case that happens. And we like to think we fulfill those as soon as we can. And we don't like to have unhappy customers. We like to have people keep coming back. And I like to think like this number this quickly shows, people trust us at this point after 15 campaigns, that they trust us.
That is awesome. I mean, and again, pointing out a year with the company, 15 campaigns, no problems on there, anything derogatory. Of course, there's issues that happen, but they've always been covered and no problem. it's all just working like a well-oiled machine as far as the way that it should be done with the customer service and everything, because people sometimes forget whenever they're running campaigns that it's not about the campaign, the money, and then you're excited because you're able to print something. You still have to get it out to them, and you still have to make them excited and get them excited for the next one and the next one and so on and so forth, to where they're chomping at the bit and beating on, on the door going, hang on, hey, it's been a month. What's next? What's next?
Yeah, really. It's just, and one unfortunate thing that stunk was that there was a little bit of a delay between issues 3 and 4 in the release, and it's like, oh no, it's like I'm hoping that momentum didn't die, but we'll find out on Tuesday to see how that goes. But yeah, just keeping that momentum up, trying not to have long delays, because we do the best we can to meet deadlines, schedules, and I'm really having to learn that, because I didn't see that initially with issue 1. That was just on Kickstarter. We had plenty of time, but now with Lunar and having to meet deadline schedules, and it's like, oh, we need to fix this. We don't have time. Okay, fine. All right. Yep. Just dude came out the best with the color. It's just, I'm really experiencing that now firsthand, the disappointment of not being able to fix something.
Right. And you're actually working with some powerhouse artists as well. And I see that evolution, on your campaigns that are going out there. One of the biggest ones that you've got this time around, being Shikari. That is some artwork that just immediately, as soon as you see it, who did that one. There are certain artists that are out there that you just automatically know, and Shikari is definitely one of those. And there are some awesome pieces of work that are on there, and different variations of those as well, and affordable. That's another thing that I want to bring up, is this stuff is affordable. It's not like you're going to go on there and go, I would love to get it, I just don't have $100 to get one cover. You don't get one cover for $100. You get several covers for $100.
Yeah, absolutely. This is pretty much like a Walmart Costco version. Yeah, I can say like a Costco version of getting a comic book. We have you can order like the books in bulk. You can just get a couple, you can get one, whatever you want. You can customize whatever you want when it comes to checking out. Yeah, there's no end to the possibilities of what you can do with us. But yeah, it's the talent we have. I like to believe Sean has assembled some of the best cover artists, if not the best right now, cover artists in the business. We have Jamie Tyndall, naturally. He's the co-publisher. So yeah, he's going to do a cover, and he killed it this time.
Oh yeah.
And in Shikari, arguably the hottest new artist right now. And we've worked with him since issue 1 of Born of Blood. He did a cover for issue 1 and issue 2. Right. And, I love talking to the guy. He's fun to chat with. And but yeah, this issue in particular, he nailed it. He killed it. I couldn't be happier, and I'm glad we're going to keep working with him in the future. And we got Andrew Mangum, a long-time indie artist. In my opinion, this is Dolan opinion. His cover, but to me, it was the best one. That's my favorite one. It's my favorite. It's got that sexy and violent, which is Giaris, and that's what I wanted on the cover, and that's what I like, and he nailed it. We had Ali Garza, Piper Rudich, I think Courtney Rose, another one. Just so many talented artists working on this, and it's phenomenal. It's amazing. So many creators would love to have that team of cover artists working on their book.
Oh, absolutely. Now that does bring up the next question. It's perfect time to ask that is, who is on your bucket list that is like, one of your top ones that would be just the grail that you would like to have that call and go, you're going to do a cover for me? What? And then, pick yourself off the ground after you passed out and everything going, wow, this is great. Who would be your grail artist for this?
Well, it's not going to be the usual names. Like, I don't think Alex Ross wouldn't be a good fit, because I'm not going to see that. I won't say J. Scott Campbell, because I like to say, I know, okay, I'll say this. If it was J. Scott Campbell 20, 25 years ago, yes, but not now. J. Scott Campbell is not who he used to be. I like to think we had John Royal do a cover for issue 3 not too long ago, and that was what J. Scott Campbell used to be. That was an amazing cover. So, and actually, my first artist I wanted on my bucket list was Tim Vigil, and he did one. He did the main cover for issue 1.
Right.
So I can die happy man now with that. But if he were still alive, I would love Frank Frazetta. I think Frazetta would have been perfect for this. But,
yes.
Thinking of thinking of the artists who could really nail this, I haven't gone with yet. You know, man, I would, honestly, I don't know if they do much work anymore. Because like the names I have, like Sean and Murphy, all the others, they look at me like, what? But these guys, like, I would love to have like a John Totleben or Steve Bissett if they're
Yep.
still. I would love to have those guys do a cover. Just a lot of the guys from the '80s, like, who did the indie stuff in the '80s.
Exactly.
Brian Polito, or do one. Kevin Eastman, be able to get him to do one. Just that's Simon Bisley. There we go. That is
There
one.
you go.
Yes, Simon Bisley.
Yeah, I mean and I'm enjoying the fact that because you keep saying they're not that well known, but over here I'm just shaking my head, going, "Yep, no, I know that."
Yeah,
one.
it's funny in the meeting. Sometimes I say these names, people are like, "Who? what did they do?" It's like, yeah, all right, here.
But 9 times out of 10, they say who, and then you pass it over and you go, they did this cover, and they're like, oh yes,
that one, yeah.
Exactly. Now, I mean, I'm going to let you know right now, if you ever want a stick figure cover and you're thinking about using Demon Phil for that one, I can't even do stick figures, so I'm going to crush your hopes and dreams on that one.
That could be the Merc, like, no prize variant or whatever.
Like it was drawn from a pre-kindergartner or something like that. They'd be like, "That's a grown man that did that." Wow. Yeah. Hey, I'm at least putting it out there and being honest.
Yes, I appreciate the honesty.
I don't want you to think you're getting J. Scott Campbell style whenever you get it back, going, "Whoa, hey, there's a few other letters in J. Scott Campbell than what you put in there."
It's nice to know what I'm in store for. Forewarned is forearmed.
Exactly. Now, how far along are you in the story that you've gotten to, like a story arc on this thing, or how far are you planning on going to get to that point?
Okay, so it's funny the evolution of the series, how it's been. Back in 2021, when this adventure started, Sean, I walked into his office, and because I told him how much I'd liked Death Rage, and I liked what it was hinting at with the Spartans, and he knew I had competed in some local competitions, like doing comic book of the day competitions with Stuart Sager,
Okay.
who I also respect, who also did a cover for Born of Blood at New York Comic Con.
Yep.
But he called me into his office, and Murphy was there. And eventually, I think she walked in a few minutes later, and he said, "Hey, I know how much you like Death Rage and the Spartan aspect, and I know you competed in some local competitions. Would you be interested in writing, a period piece, beforehand, explaining the start of the Spartans, of the Merc universe?" And I said, naturally, "Okay, sure, absolutely." So from that moment on, I just started doing research. And Sean initially told me it was going to be one issue. And so I went off of that. So that's why the issue 1 is kind of more self-contained. You can kind of end it right there if you want. But it was after a while, I think Sean saw what the possibilities with this and liked what he saw. And he said, okay, we're going to make this 2 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's make it 3. Oh, okay, we'll make it 4. We'll 5. Okay, all right, no, we'll make it 6. So it's just things. So what I had planned in certain issues has changed. They got nixed because I was going to stick to it more historically through the 6 issues, but that changed as we're sticking with the Spartan timeline. We're introducing certain Spartan in the current Merc universe, and then I really took a step back and realized here that because in this world, in the modern day Merc universe, the Spartans are like a top-seeded organization. They're still around. So it's like, okay, if you take that into aspect, think about that. History has changed forever because of that. So remembering that, saying that to myself, okay, that means I can have some fun with history because we've already fundamentally altered history. Right. So with that, some things may or may not change up in the timelines. May or may not. That's all I'm going to hint at. But I'm having fun through 6 issues. But it's been interesting, the creative process going through the 6 issues. Each issue has I want to make each issue different in its own way. Each one has its own unique tone. but they didn't lose the intensity, the graphicness of it. Like issue 1, is like the origin story. Issue 2 is like the heartbreak. Issue 3 is like the betrayal. Issue 4 is survival.
Right.
Issue 5 is, I call it hide and seek. Issue 6, that's the horror story. And I try to make each one unique in its own way. That's been kind of fun for me to do that.
And see, that sounds really cool that you got it set up, because I can definitely see, now that you're breaking it up, I can see where that's playing out through the issues that have been so far. And then you're talking about the hide and seek. I'm sitting here going, okay, I have no clue how that's going to turn out. And then a horror, and I'm like, this is interesting, because you're taking the wheelhouse and just changing it completely up on the way that you look at it. It's like the perspectives are different in each one of them.
Yes, absolutely, and that's why I wanted to make it fun and unique in its own way. That way you're not just reading. It's like, it's just this. Oh, it's just this.
Right.
But each one has its own different, unique tone, and I wanted to have fun with that, and I like to think I have. And my editor Joe Corallo, who's an award-winning, I believe, Eisner winner, like he would have told me differently if it stunk. So he likes what he sees, and I'm loving the art what we're getting. So,
oh yes. And it definitely has that feel. That's another thing I want to bring up too, is it's not just, a lot of times you get into, a good epic, especially a historical, story, and the story is great, but the artwork is lacking, or the artwork is great and the story is kind of lacking. On this one, it could be where I have a script in front of me with no artwork, or I have the artwork with no lettering at all. Either way, I've got a feel for where this thing is going. So the fact that it molds and melds together as well as it does, kudos to you. You did an awesome job on putting this together, and the way that the finished product is, to where it has a pulse to it. It actually has a heartbeat to the entire book. And then you get to the next one, and the heartbeat, like you said, it changes to a degree, but it really draws the reader in.
Yeah, and speaking of the art team, Stone Tower Studios, they nailed it. Like what I originally wanted to do, like my original plan was going to do it like a Marvel method. I was going to plot, say like this happens on this page, this happens, and like they didn't necessarily like that. They're like, it seems like you're giving us a lot of work to do on our end. It's like, okay, fine. You know what? I had no problem with that. So that's where I really had to become a stronger storyteller and do the panel breakdowns and do the choreography. So like all the fight scenes and everything, that's all. I'm not drawing it, but I'm explaining it in detail in every single panel of where the blands low, where the blows land, like blood flying where it's flying, the teeth flying, like the details on the walls and everything. That's all provided by me. But the artists, they're killing it from what I'm writing, and I got to commend them on that. And so we're gonna have a big change. We're having a change in the artist on issue 5 and 6, and okay. This guy, holy crap, he is killing it. But Carlos Picaria, he did the first 4, but he did a great job. But unfortunately, he was kind of falling behind, so we had to get new team in to help get across the finish line. And he's killing it, and I can't wait to see what he has in store for issue 6. We bonded this past winter over horror films and everything. So yeah, we see eye to eye on issue 6. So I cannot wait to see what he has.
Now, I mean, we're talking about, with Born of Blood and what's going on with that. And we've talked about, your character development and how you've kind of built into it, where it's going, where the future is on this. And we've talked about kind of going outside of the wheelhouse. The next thing I want to bring up, because we're talking about going outside the wheelhouse, is this one here. And of course, it's not available yet, but Naughty and Nice meet Red Sonja and Vampirella. I'm going to tell you right now, Marat Michaels fan, I am, and so are several, people that are out there. That's one thing. How many Red Sonja fans do we have there? Quite a few. How many Vampirella fans? Quite a few. So in order to go ahead and hit this thing head on, how did you have to get the mindset that you were dealing with basically legends that you were having to write about?
Oh man. So working with Marat, this goes back to issue 1. Issue 1, I think I just finished or turned in the script for issue 1, and Sean was telling, because Sean and Marat are good friends, and Marat came to the store to do a live sale or whatever, and Sean was telling Marat like how good issue 1 looked, and he said like, yeah, Drew's trying to be a decent writer. And Murat and Sean talked about, hey, we need to do that crossover we talked about doing. And they're like, yeah, we should. Like, who are we going to get to write it? And both of them looked at me at the same time. They're like, you want to write it? I was like, okay. So that was my second writing gig, was writing Catfight versus Naughty and Nice. And that's my first time working with Murat, and so that was fun, getting to write Naughty and Nice. And he was hands-on and hands-off at the same time, which was great. He really trusted me in what I was doing, and that did very, very well. It was one of, I think, Kickstarter's top 10 crowdfunded comics,
right?
Like the first quarter when it came out, which I was blown away by. And I love just going back through that comic, and just because it's just so fun and kinetic. But
yes.
And then after that, Murat let me add some dialogue and co-write with him on Battle Fairy and Yeti versus Red Sonja, and that was I got to write Red Sonja, and like when he told me that, and as he was going to bring me on, like that, like a whole week I was doing research. I mean, I'd already read Red Sonja, but I was doing research into Red Sonja, just like what she would say, what she wouldn't say, how she would act, just getting all that, getting her voice down. And he liked that. And then he said, hey, I'm going to doing a big crossover coming up, and which would turn out to be this. He's like, you want to write it with me? I was like, yeah. So I think he told me that back in Dallas Fan Expo, like this past summer. And like, I gave him a big hug across the table. He told me that. I was so excited. And it wasn't too long ago. I think it was back in, September or August. We had a call, and like he said, this is how the story's going to go. It has beginning, middle, end. It's like, all right, you go ahead and fill it in. So he gave the story beat, and I just gave the breakdowns, dialogue, and it was off to the art. And
wow,
yeah, it's turned out amazing. And so getting to write Vampirella, the fact that I was writing Red Sonja and Vampirella, it was so hard to not talk about it, to not mention it. It's just like, because I love these characters, and one thing I had to learn is like when I was telling my family, like, I'm writing Red Sonja and Vampirella, they're like, who? And it's like, okay, there's still a contingent of people who don't know about them, so it's up to me to do the best I can to explain who these characters are to them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but at the same time, there are a lot of fans of Red Sonja and Vampirella, and so when I was writing this, I went with a couple things in mind. One, I wanted to get their voices right. Two, I wanted this to be a kick-ass comic, just like Catfight versus Naughty and Nice, and it is that, most certainly. And three, there will be winners in both fights. So there's no ties, none of that crap. There are winners in the fights.
Nice. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, and you bringing up about, whenever you were doing this and had to stay quiet about it, I completely understand exactly what you're saying, because I have asked several creators, what would be your grail product to work on, this kind of stuff, whatever, whether it's writing, art, whatever. So many times it is Red Sonja, Vampirella is somewhere in there on one of the answers. And for you to be quiet about it, because there are other people that would be like, oh my gosh, you did tell me more, and you'd be like, oh, I already said too much though, I can't say anything.
yeah, I can't.
It's called NBA.
Yeah, exactly. And I just have to ask Murat, like, Murat, hey, can I say anything yet? He's like, no, he's like, just wait.
Yep.
And it wasn't until today, actually, earlier today, when Murat made the official announcement, and it's like, yes, okay. So I started, because in the meantime, I started joining up with a lot of the Vampirella and Red Sonja fan groups on Facebook. I started joining them and introducing myself to them. And then today I dropped the news, and a lot of them love it. A lot of them did like it and like what they're seeing. And I hope they all take the chance and check this out, because we kicked ass on this book, and the art is amazing. The art team doing the covers and the interior art, it looks amazing.
Awesome. Now, I will say this, because I want clarity on this one. So that means if you got the official announcement thing went through today, this is the first official show that it's been announced officially on, correct?
I believe so. Yes. Yes, you got the exclusive. Yeah.
It's not like I get money for it or anything, but it's bragging rights. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I mean that is awesome that you're able to work on these and be able to fulfill some dreams that you didn't even know were available. To be honest, I mean, unless Marat would have come to you asking this, you probably would have been like, it'd be nice to sometime write about Vampirella or Red Sonja out there at some point. Not only are you getting to write about them, you're getting to write about them together in a fight with his main characters. And like you said, there are winners in this. I can only imagine how that's going and how great of a storyline that's got to be, because most of these that are out there, it's always a nice fight where it's like, oh, we're going to go have, something to drink afterwards because it was just a misunderstanding or whatever. And you're telling me there's going to be winners means this is going to get fun.
Yeah, exactly. And because I've read these comics too, and one thing that would aggravate me sometimes is that some of the fights would just end in a page or a couple panels, and like, no, F no,
Yep.
no, hell no. And it's like, so these fights are going to take over several pages of Red Sonja fighting, several pages of Vampirella fighting. It's going to be terrific, and they're different landscapes. It's going to be great, and I cannot wait for people to see this. It is so much fun.
Nice. Now, this one, if I'm not mistaken, this is the so you can get signed up for the pre-launch, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yep, sign up so you can be notified when it launches, and because it launches next week, next Tuesday. So,
Oh wow, that's soon. Okay.
I think is it next Tuesday, or is it? I think it's, or yeah, actually, yeah, it's next. Yeah, I think it's next Wednesday or Tuesday. I forget,
Wow.
but the 31st. Yeah, it's all right around the corner because I think Red Sonja and Vampirella, that one launches on Tuesday, and Born of Blood ends on Wednesday, so they're both back to back, and so this is going to be a wild week.
No kidding. Now, is this one for the Marat's thing for the Naughty and Nice and the Vampirella Red Sonja? Is that going to be a 30-day or a 12-day?
Oh, that'll most likely be a 30-day with
Okay.
Marat. Yeah.
Okay. And then yours, of course, launches like you said right afterwards, so that'll be another 12-day one on yours.
I mean the Born of Blood.
Yes.
Oh, it ends on Wednesday.
Oh, it ends on Wednesday. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure because, like I said, I know Merc is moving a bunch of stuff really quickly.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yes, yeah, it could be another one launching that Wednesday or something. Yeah.
Because I know one thing that y'all don't have to worry about the downtime and everything in between campaigns. Y'all are constantly pushing anyway. It's like as soon as something ends, there's already something in the wind that's going to be happening very soon right afterwards. So I don't know how far in scheduled out y'all have the entire year, 2 years, whatever y'all have got, but you've definitely got some scheduling that's done over there.
Yeah, and that's why we're gonna have like the big retreat coming up, so we can discuss about what we're gonna do for 2023. I think they do have it. I haven't had a chance to see the calendar, but I think they do have it more or less kind of mapped out through the summer. But we're gonna meet up in that really get everything ironed out for the next year or so.
Nice. Now we're kind of getting to that point where I want to start kind of dwindling things down just a little bit because I don't want to go over on time too much. But I want to ask you one last kind of question leading into the end of this, which is all of this built together. You've got yourself and you've got all the members of Merc Publishing on there and everything. When you're dealing with going to cons, are y'all going in force like as a group and showing off as a team that way, or are you trying to do that, or is that the plan for this year? What are y'all looking at doing?
Well, that's a good question because I do know that, for instance, when C2E2 happens, that Merc Publishing will be at C2E2, and Comics Elite will be down in MegaCon. I'll be down at MegaCon with Sean because that's where we're going to be down there in full force. But it depends on the show, really. Like at New York Comic Con, for example, everyone was there. We were all there in force, and so it will most likely probably be the same this year at New York Comic Con. And it may be the same thing for Dallas Fan Expo. Dallas Fan Expo, we were all down there, and that was a lot of fun too. So there may be one or two shows where we're actually there in full force.
And that's cool that you're able to. I can understand breaking up the force for some of the smaller ones, but like you said, the bigger ones, you're really showing up as a team, so people understand that there is, teamwork involved in building the foundation that y'all have for this great publishing company that y'all have got up and coming. And again, I still can't believe we're saying this out loud, but it's a new publishing company. Anything under 5 years is new. And we're talking about a year on this thing. and it's doing what people have been striving to do for 10, 20, 30 years. Some people have given up, after that amount of time, saying nothing's happened that much. And y'all are still getting so much momentum on this. I can't wait to see what the future holds, for Merck Publishing out there and what y'all have got available.
Yeah, and especially some of the image ones, a lot of them didn't make it past 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the benchmark I'm looking at right now for us. If we can get past that 5-year hump, mm-hmm. then we're good. So right now I think we're doing fine. And but if we make it past that 5-year hump, that's when I know we've made it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm telling you right now, from where my standpoint is on looking at this from my perspective and all, which may not mean too much, but one of the backers out here, we'll say that, it's already made it to that point. So I can only imagine in 5 years, y'all are going to be like celebrating some serious things out there. I can already see greatness coming from this if it keeps going at the same rate that it is, which I don't see y'all stopping anytime soon. I see it growing much bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, more and more people, artists, writers have been I know at least have been reaching out to me because they love it. They love what we're doing. They love what we're seeing. What's funny is that I was talking to Aaron Sparrow at New York this back in October, and someone reached out to him, and he had messaged him, and he said to Aaron, so because he saw what Aaron was doing to Merck Publishing, and mm-hmm. he had written to him, so we can have. It's all that stuff is back, but hey, the thing is, they all have great stories. Mm-hmm. They all, yeah.
Nice. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you a moment here at the end here. I want you to let everyone know, because I've got the links embedded in the feed, so it's very easy to go ahead and click on these and go straight over there. There are links for the current Kickstarter, which is Born of Blood over there. And if you haven't gotten on board yet, there are catch-up, set up segments on there. So you have tiers that you can get caught up on everything. And then there's also the link for the upcoming campaign, which launches next week, which will be the Naughty and Nice Vampirella Red Sonja. And then on top of that is also the website for merckpublishing.com. So I want you to let everyone know why they need to go ahead and finish out this show with making sure they click on each of these links and go over there and show their support for Merck Publishing and everything they got over there, starting with Born of Blood.
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out there for a second.
Oh, you're good. Did you hear me? I was saying to go ahead and let them know why they need to go over there and check out Born of Blood, Merck Publishing, and everything. Go ahead and let them know what their call to action is on this.
Well, I'll let you guys know what you get at Merck is what you're not going to get at Marvel and DC. These are stories that we have worked hard. Stories with attitude. Stories that we do not pull the punches on. Everything, we have fun telling these stories. These are action packed. There's no filler. There's no decompressed storytelling. That is gone in these stories. So yeah, if you've been experiencing that and you hate that, you're not going to get that at Merck. So we are the publisher for you. And each title is different in its own way. With GRS, Born of Blood, you get your Spartan story. So I think that if you love to see a strong female character who's going to struggle, fall in love, the whole gambit, you're going to love Born of Blood.
And that is absolutely true on that end. I mean, I cannot stress enough how much y'all are going to enjoy that series over there and what's going on with it. And I cannot wait for how far it's going to go forward as well, because you're telling me about 5 and 6. Just give me that little, carrot on the stick out there, and I'm definitely following it. So everyone else needs to do the same.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I hope you guys really do take the chance, because I know getting out of that comfort zone, getting out of that weekly pull list of Spider-Man and Batman can be difficult, but really do take the chance. Do check this out. You will find out it is worth your money. And we have worked hard on telling these stories, and I will continue to work hard on telling these stories. All killer, no filler.
There you go. That's the way to end it right there. Is that all killer, no filler? I love that. Now, I want to thank you for being a guest here on the show and being able to, talk about your IP on this and talk about your, what you do inside of, Merck Publishing and your roles in there, and then your goals and your grails and things you're working on as well. And I wish you all the luck that you could possibly have on all this and all the good success on there. And I'm sure everyone else does as well. And I definitely want to get you back on the show, and I'll be reaching out very soon, like very soon, to go ahead and schedule something up because I want to get you back on.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan. Can't wait.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you again. I'm going to drop you backstage, finish up here. If you want to hang out, I'll be up there in just a few minutes. All right. So we had a great show on here. We were talking about Born of Blood. I got excited about this title, in case y'all couldn't tell on that. Merck Publishing. I got excited about the publishing company and talking about what they had available on there, which was awesome. I mean, there were so many different things to go ahead and discuss and delve into on here. Now, I've always had a closing statement on the end of my shows. I've been doing something different, and I'm doing it as well on this one. It's a simple thing. I'm going to go ahead and throw a challenge out there. And no, it is not the Demonation Challenge like I used to have on there. This is the challenge of Voice of the Indies. Now, what does that mean? Because, I've been called Voice of Indies and so on and so forth. I've hashtagged it. Does that mean I want you to promote my stuff? Absolutely not. What that means is the Voice of the Indies is not one person at all. Voice of the Indies is a conglomerate of different people getting together. If I got out here and I started yelling about Born of Blood, saying it's a great thing, it's a great thing, it's a great thing, get out there and check it out. That is one guy sitting over here yelling till he's blue in the face. And I can get a hold of several people out there that might actually pay attention to it. But if several more people listen to mine and then echo that so forth and so forth and so forth, we get more of the Voice of the Indies out there. So my challenge is, what are you planning to do to increase the Voice of the Indies? That's the simple challenge right there. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that you have to go and spend, $2,000 per campaign out there because you have to support them and increase it? Absolutely not. Everybody understands nobody's made of money. Everybody understands that. Creators do as well. But it costs absolutely nothing to share. I'm just throwing that out there. It costs nothing to use the power of the finger, the correct one if you can. Hit that share button and share these things out so it gets under more eyes as well. Again, increasing the Voice of the Indies. So your challenge is, what are you going to do to increase the Indies? And I'm looking forward to it because I love watching and seeing what's happening within this industry and how far it's building up and seeing the evolution process of it. And whatever I can do to help that out, I'm planning on doing that. Like I said, I can't draw a stick figure to save my life, so you won't be seeing any of my covers anytime soon. Sorry about your luck on that one, and no therapy bills on the top of that. But I can at least get up here and try to push and make sure that everyone else is increasing the Voice of the Indies with me, whether it be voice, whether it be just going ahead and sharing something, or as simple as just going ahead and saying, you know what, I enjoy the Indies, and I'm going to say it out loud. Start with that one right there. So until next time, and I love this part of the show, keep it indie, y'all.